Manufactured homes are becoming very popular here in Idaho, and about once a week I get a call that sounds something like this. Annika, I found a home that's $100,000 and it's in my price range. I want to buy it. But in this video, we're going to talk about how it's not actually that easy to buy a manufactured home unless you have cash. So I'm going to interview my friend Kiersten Landers here with Empire Home Loans to talk about how buying a manufactured home is different, kind of the ins and outs of it, and maybe some pros and cons too. You ready? Let's get started. What's up guys? Annika here at the Anderson Hicks Group. I'm a local realtor here in the eastern Idaho area. If you're thinking about moving to Idaho, whether it's next week or next year, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. All my information is in the description below. Welcome, Kirsten.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
So good. If you can't tell, we are just so thrilled to be here.
Yes.
We get along great. We work very well together. Kirsten is somebody that if you do business with me, that I will have you call her as well, because she is a master lender, and I'm so excited to have her talk today about manufactured homes. So first, tell me a little bit about you, just a quick intro.
Yeah.
You know, who you are, who you work for,
Sure.
and then we'll get into it.
Great. Well, like Annika said, my name is Kiersten Landers. I'm a lender here in eastern Idaho. I run a group called the Landers Lending Group for Empire Home Loans, which is a local branch here in Idaho Falls. We work in tandem quite a bit to help you guys win the home that you love.
So manufactured homes, unless you have cash, it is harder to buy them. So why is it so hard to buy manufactured homes?
Well, I think it should be important to start out with some information. You probably get a lot of inquiries for a few different homes that land in a few different categories as far as the loan type. For instance, there's the kind of home that you would find like in a mobile home park or an RV park, and those are called Chatt Loans. And so those are the kind of homes that are without a foundation. They're mobile homes, and so it's a Chatt loan. With that, though, there are some things that you have to be cognizant of when you want to purchase a mobile home or a home without a permanent foundation. And things that you need to consider is, you know, the down payment. Sometimes these loans are 25, 30% down. They require that you have great credit, sometimes over a 720 credit score. The interest rate is typically higher, maybe even around the 10% range, just depending on the loan and when you decide to buy. So that's one thing you need to consider when you are buying a mobile home. A second kind of home that you might get questions about are homes that were manufactured before June 15th, 1976, and those are pre-HUD homes. HUD instituted a way for manufactured homes to be manufactured under a certain level of safety and guidelines and things like that. When HUD came into place, they instituted all these measures. And so when you want to buy a manufactured home before 1976, it's considered riskier in the lender's eyes. And much like a chattel loan, when you want to buy a pre-HUD home, even though it's on permanent foundation, you still need to come up with either 25 to 30% down. You have to have great credit. Typically, again, credit or interest rates are needing to be higher to make up for that risk. Again, around 10% or so. So when I get those phone calls, I actually tell people to look for a manufactured home built after 1976 on permanent foundation, because then we could go more traditional financing route like FHA or conventional loan.
Yeah, and actually that's a really important piece, is what kind of foundation it has. And this is something that me as your realtor will help identify that. It's usually listed in the MLS. If it says it has a concrete parameter, that means it's on a permanent foundation typically. And that also means it has been deemed real property, which also means you own the land. So it's very different than buying a manufactured home in a mobile home park where you don't own the land, and it's often not on a permanent foundation. And if it's on a permanent foundation and deemed real property, it is easier, like Kirsten said, to get a loan on it because it's similar, not 100% the same, but similar to buying a stick-built or a single-family residence.
And then if it is built before 1976 and it's a manufactured home, but it's on maybe it's on brick or some form of foundation, but it's not permanently affixed, then it could go a pre-HUD home loan. But again, then you're going back into the additional expenses of those loans. And like you mentioned, if it's on property that you're renting, that's another $300 to $700 you're paying on top of the mortgage, and you're not actually owning the land. So that's also something that you should consider when you're looking at those kinds of homes.
Yeah, so it seems like it might be cheaper, but let's just look about this in real numbers. It's easier to get lost in the mix when we're talking about percentages. So for easy math, if you buy a $100,000 home not on a permanent foundation, and often you need 20% down for easy math, that's $20,000 you need just to buy a $100,000 home, which is supposed to be affordable, but not a lot of people have $20,000 in cash just laying around. And then on top of that, like Kiersten is saying, rents for mobile home or manufactured home parks are actually going up. They used to be around $400 a month, but now I just saw one recently that was like $750 a month.
That's crazy.
In addition to your mortgage for that other $80,000 that you just financed, you're paying for utilities, because sometimes your lot rent doesn't include utilities and maintenance, and it's a whole different ballgame. And I found out recently, when I say recent, like last year, that manufactured homes have a VIN. So you know what VINs are? That's like what vehicles have. That's what it is. It's a vehicle identification number, right? And so you buy a car, you get a VIN. You buy a manufactured home, you get a VIN, but it's actually more like a car. And so it's just a different beast. And so yes, it can be affordable. Yes, if you have cash and you're ready to just get into something smaller, a little bit easier, you are okay with paying lot rent because maybe they take care of your snow removal and it's just an easier way of life, sure, 100%. But it's not as simple as, hey, this is $100,000, then I qualify for FHA so I can have 0% down and I can have this mortgage payment for like $500 a month. And that's not the reality.
Unfortunately, no. And, you bring up some other great points. When you're looking at a manufactured home, it needs to be moved at least once and affixed to its permanent foundation for it to qualify for a traditional home loan. Otherwise, if it's been moved multiple times, it will have to go into a different category, one of the previous two loans types that I discussed. In fact, chattel loans are for the kinds of homes that are not affixed to anything. And so chattel means to essentially something that could be easily moved around. Thus the word chattel. It's a whole thing to tackle. It requires a lot of discussions with your realtor, with your lender, to see if it makes sense for you. When I talk to buyers that are interested in these kinds of homes, I actually work out the numbers for them to buy a stick-built home that might be a little bit more, but they can qualify for an FHA loan typically, and that's a lower interest rate, and they start to come out about the same. So yes, a home may be advertised as $100,000, but ultimately when you're paying a monthly mortgage payment, it comes out to about the same, depending on the home, about the same as a stick-built home, FHA, lower interest rate, etc.
It really just depends on your situation. We're not in any way saying don't buy a manufactured home, because it could be a good opportunity for you. And the reason why I'm bringing Kiersten on with Empire Home Loans is that she can actually loan on these types of properties. She is partnered, or she works with multiple lenders across the nation that can do this. Whereas if you call just your local bank, or a lot of retail lenders don't have this option. In fact, you can call a listing agent on a manufactured home, and very often the listing agent will say, cannot get traditional funding, must pay cash, which is not true. It depends on a lot of different factors, but you can get lending on it, but you need to find an actual person who has those programs or access to those programs who can do it. And so this is super, super important. So if this is something that you are interested in, give me or Kiersten or both of us a call, and we'd be happy to walk you through it and see if it makes sense for you. Is there anything else that you would add for manufactured homes?
No, I think this is a great conversation. I think we've covered a lot of bases. Kind of going off a little bit what you said earlier, though, like if it does make sense for you and you have the cash to pay for a manufactured home and you love it, I say go that route. Don't finance if you don't have to. But I'm here to be a resource for you if you do, and if you have any other questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kirsten. I really
you.
appreciate you. And like I said, if you have any other questions, my name is Annika Wilder. I'm a local realtor here in the Eastern Idaho area. Feel free to reach out anytime. If you're looking for more information about East Idaho and the surrounding areas, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and you'll be the first to know about all things life in Idaho Falls. We'll see you next time. Bye.